Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to give an article titled, What to Do If You Find Yourself Dating a Feminist. And guys, this whole article is obviously written by a woman who is a feminist, and I got to speak in code here because you all know why, because if I say that word too many times, it can get the video flagged. It's written by a woman who's obviously an feminist, and in here, this article, this very amusing BS article, she is trying to convince the readers, the masses, the joy of what it would be to date a woman like this. And also she's going to try to convince the readers about the joy and all the great and glorious thing about the feminist movement, okay? And you can see here this woman has definitely been drinking the pink Kool-Aid and has obviously been living in La La Land, because her idea of what this movement is nothing to do with what it really is in today's world, okay? Complete nonsense. And I gotta tell you guys, I've said this before so many times, for those of you guys that date, I always recommend on a first date, when you haven't met the girl before, or you barely have talked to her, meet her for one drink. Because in that time period, that one drink, you can find out exactly who she is, okay? But if you make the mistake of planning a dinner and all that, you may be stuck at the table with someone you really don't want to be stuck with, like what she's describing here, okay? And, like I said, guys, I've known guys that have dated and been in relationships with feminist women, and believe me, it's never-ending drama. They never shut up about feminism and the movement and just all the social justice stuff that they got to obviously conquer. There's always some new drama, some new thing you got to conquer and overcome. Those types of people, I recommend you run. So if you ever mistakenly get on a date with one of these women, you weren't able to see the red flags, I just say you run. But anyhow, just for fun, just for amusement, I'm going to go through this article here. And by the way, a big shout out to Andrew for sending me this article. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here. It's pretty funny here. The disillusioned ideas here. It's crazy. Or delusional. That's what I meant to say. So again, the title of the article is, What to Do If You Find Yourself Dating an Feminist. She says there, starts off, so you just went out on a date with this amazing woman. She's funny, smart, and not bad looking. Right off the bat, you know darn well an feminist woman wrote this article, because instead of saying good looking first, she made a point of saying funny and smart. Okay? The last part she's mentioning here is obviously the looks, because God forbid, it's funny, but all the feminist women don't want to be known for their looks. It's all about who they are as a person. She goes on, your time together flew by. You're on cloud nine. You feel like you won the lottery. This is on a date with a woman who's an feminist. Time flew by. You felt like you won the lottery? I don't think so. And then as you peruse her social media accounts, you realize that she's a feminist. Like you couldn't tell that already. You know this because every single one of her social media posts is unapologetically feminist. There are photographs of her wearing shirts that say, this is what a feminist looks like, and we should all be feminists. She shares articles that argue in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment and recommends TV programs like The Handmaid's Tale and Mrs. America. Look, guys, if you ever make the mistake of actually being on a date with someone like this, and for whatever reason you didn't see what she was really like on the date, and you get home and you go on social media and you see what she's describing here, block her and never call her again, because your life is going to be a nightmare. How do I know? Because again, I had friends, guys, that dated and were in relationships with women like this in varying degrees, and it was a nightmare. But these guys were softer guys, weaker guys. They were attracted to more masculine, ball-busting women, if you will. And so they obviously stayed in it. One of them was good looking, I'll give her credit, but still, the personality, oh my God. Her heroes are Gloria Steinem, Shirley Chisholm, and Alice Paul. The Legion of Doom, huh? Taken aback, your stomach clenches, and then you throw up. Feminist, but she seems so cool and normal. Yeah, sure. What should you do? You thought she liked you, but don't all feminists hate men? No comment. First of all, don't panic. Feminism isn't as scary as you think it is. Feminists do not hate men. Yeah, well, call me crazy, but I have had the misfortune of knowing quite a few, and they are usually pretty angry. There's always some injustice that they need to talk about and convince you that their way is the right way. Attend these marches and gatherings. I'm not joking. I live in Massachusetts, so it's a very liberal state, and so especially the Boston area. In the last few years, because of a certain ex-president of ours, there are lots of gatherings and women's marches and shit like that going on in the city and in Boston Common. So trust me, there's plenty here. And believe me, they're not exactly fun people to be around. She says, even in the 21st century, people still hold onto the notion that feminists hate men. We don't. We just want equality. See? She drank the Kool-Aid. Look, I've made this abundantly clear so many times in videos. It is, in today's world, it is not about equality. It is about emasculating men, making them out to be like little bitches, and they're running the show. How do I know? Look at the media. Look at TV. Look at movies. Look at the music. Okay? How are men portrayed? How are women portrayed now? They portray men as bumbling idiots, weak, sensitive, emotional, whining, complaining, unsure of themselves. Okay? And they portray the women as strong and masculine, take charge, domineering, all this stuff. Who do you think is behind all this? It's not an accident. Now, a lot of these movies they do, these woke type of movies, they are flops, but they keep putting these type of things out. So obviously there's a major agenda behind all this, right? It's not an accident. And a lot of people, I've had these conversations with people, and some people, they kind of agree with me what I talk about. Other people look at me like I'm out of my damn mind. But again, look where I live. If I had this conversation in a different state or a different part of the country that was a little less liberal, they may kind of see where I'm coming from here. She goes on, and while white feminists have more advantages than our BIPOC sisters, of course you have to talk about privilege and advantages, we still do not have all the advantages that white men do. There you go. The number one enemy to everything in the world. Feminism argues that all people are equal regardless of gender. Most feminists do their best to be intersectional too. Intersectionality argues that all people are equal no matter what. And that's an important point, because when oppressed classes are divided by their differences, they lose power. Pay attention to that key word she has there, power. And when they're talking about all people are equal no matter what, sure, as long as they don't have something between their legs. But if we all oppressed classes work together, our power multiplies exponentially. The movement isn't about hating anyone. It's a movement about love. And she has love in capital letters. So if you're dating an feminist, get ready, because she is full of love. And if you play your cards right, you might benefit from that love. Has this woman spent her entire life in La La Land? Believe me, like I said, I've known women like this. Love, especially love in capital letters. Get the hell out of here. What are you talking about here? It sounds to me she is desperate to sell her cause and desperate to get guys to go out with her girls, because what are you talking about? She goes on, women still do not have equal rights. I knew that was coming. You might see something on social media that argues for equal rights for women, and you might think, but they already have equal rights. You are wrong. I had a feeling that this subject would come up. The Equal Rights Amendment was written by Alice Paul in 1923. Through most of the 20th century, feminists worked very hard to pass ERA, but their efforts were derailed by Phyllis Schlafly, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and her propaganda campaign to derail the Equal Rights Amendment. Schlafly's campaign argued that the ERA would strip housewives from their right to stay at home with their children. That was never what ERA was designed to do. ERA was designed to give women the chance to do whatever they wanted to do and be protected by the Constitution, just like men. Well, I want to point out that I've noticed a lot of women that identify as feminists, whether feminists with a big capital F or a smaller f, they look down on women that are traditional and are housewives. They really do. Okay? They think it's ridiculous in the 21st century that these women choose to just simply, the husband works and they stay home with the children and raise the kids. They look down at them. No joke. And these are some of the feminist women that have that with a little f, not as intense as the feminist women with a major F. But they look down on women like this. And there are a lot of women that, believe it or not, there are still women that choose to do that option. It's rare, but these are obviously more feminine women. And they look down at them. Our current systems were designed by white men to protect white men. That means cisgender white men are the only group protected by the Constitution. Even the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments contain loopholes that leave BLACK men unprotected. I gotta spell it out because you all know why. This is YouTube. They get sensitive or anything. I'm not taking any chances here. With the exception of the 19th Amendment, which grants and protects a woman's right to vote, there is not language in the Constitution which specifically protects women. Well, define protects. Today, there is a big push to finally ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Once ratified, women and those who identify as women would have the same constitutional protections afforded to men. Women have been asking for this as early as Abigail Adams during the Revolution. She goes on, feminism isn't a personal affront to you. You're a nice guy, and you treat your date well. She's probably just excited about you as you are about her. Well, define treated the feminist date well. Does that mean the guy, he picked her up and he opened the car door for her, and then she yelled at him for opening the car door for her? They got to the restaurant, he opened the door to the restaurant, and again she yelled at him for opening the door because he's being nice. They got to the table, maybe he pulled out the chair for her, and again she yelled at him and gave him a dirty look for pulling out the chair for her. They ordered the meal, and she talked about this type of stuff the entire time. He complimented on her clothes and her hair, how she looked, and she got angry and offended because she's more than just a body. The bill came and he wanted to pay for the bill because he asked her out, and she gets mad at him and yells at him because he wants to pay the bill. They should be equal and split it. Is that treating your date well? A lot of guys, I know guys in varying degree, I know I'm exaggerating here, but I've known guys have gone out with women like this, even when they aren't so extreme, and they still get something along these lines. Opening the doors, they get a look. Splitting the paying for the bill, they definitely got comments on that. I had a buddy that happened to not too long ago. No joke. Don't take her feminism personally. Feminism isn't about you as a person. It's about dismantling a system of oppression, I knew that word was going to come up, that affects everyone negatively, even those who benefit from it the most. I'd like to really know how some of these women that are this much into this, at what point did this start? Was it junior high school, college? I'm guessing probably for a lot college, but maybe early on. It depends obviously who their teachers were growing up, because if they were in a school and they're in a liberal state, a blue state, and they got some really liberal teachers, obviously female teachers, I really like to know where this fire comes from, really. I mean, some can start younger. I'd really like to know. That notion can make anyone feel uneasy. As a white woman, when I first began studying institutional and systemic racism, I felt uneasy too. I had to sit with it for a while and reckon with myself and my identity. Only in today's world, with this generation, I'm assuming she's pretty young, would actually talk like this, saying that she literally had to sit down and reckon with herself and her identity. Get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? But as I started to dig deeper into the problem and the systems that built the problem, I realized that it wasn't about me. It's about the systems. And I have to find my role in dismantling the systems. Well, I hate to tell you this, but the powers that be don't like systems being dismantled. So good luck there. But this movement, unfortunately, has gotten an iron grip on a lot of things, but this is what I do. This is why I do what I do. One of the many reasons I talk about these things and call BS where it is, because we all know darn well, many of you guys that watch me here, that the nonsense she's selling here it's complete nonsense. It has nothing to do with equality, not at all, and it's only weakening things. She goes on. This gets better and better. Consider it an honor if an feminist is interested in you romantically, because trust me, she's confident enough to drop you like a bad habit if you're a jerk. Yeah, she can drop you and go home to her cats. That's what she can do. I go over these articles, guys, and about dating women like this and all that type of stuff, and I've gone over articles where women like this complain because guess what? They have a hard time getting a boyfriend, or guess what? They have a hard time getting a date, and they don't understand why. Whatever it is that influenced them to go down this path, Eventually, they're going to wake up one day and realize that they've been alone for all these years and angry and have made a lot of enemies and realize, what the hell was I doing? What the hell was I thinking? Because I now have been alone my whole life, and now I'm looking back with regret. Now, I'm not saying I feel bad for them, not a chance in hell, but I'm just saying here, a lot of these women are going to wake up one day and say, what the hell was up my ass? What the hell was I thinking? Now, I've spent my whole decades being angry, and now maybe I really actually wanted to have a family. Maybe I actually wanted to have kids, but too late, because now she's 45, 50 years old and spent decades since college, because usually this is where these ideas come from, being angry and going through this whole song and dance. And what's it gotten her? Really? She goes on, you're never too old to learn. Now that you've discovered this woman's feminism, you've got something new to learn about, and you got something to talk about on your next date. I guarantee you, that's something you'll be talking about your next date, and every date afterwards, every time you spend with her about this particular subject. And God forbid the guy actually pursues a relationship with her. Believe me, anytime he says or does anything that in her view, in her perspective, is considered to be offensive to her or the sisterhood, believe me, he's going to hear all about it. And she's going to be doing everything she can to feminize him. Mark my words. I've seen it happen. Before you jump in head first and start telling her you know all about feminism, ask her some questions, especially if you've never really thought about feminism before. Yeah, I'm sure we'll all get right on that. Be curious. Ask her to point out some book recommendations or television shows that will help you better understand what feminism is and how it fits into the fight to end systemic and institutional oppression. Yeah, this sounds like a real fun date to talk about these type of things. Learn what you need to do. Feminism isn't just for women, it's for everyone. Even you. What a steaming pile of dog shit that was. Who's she kidding? Again, she spent her whole life in La La Land. So guys, I told you guys this was a funny article and it's just ridiculous. But the point is this, guys, is that this is the mindset that's out there. This was trying to be sold. Like I said before, for those of you guys that do date, one drink only in the first date. That way then, if someone is like a girl you're out with is kind of like this, you can just finish your beer and get the hell out of there. But if some way, somehow, you're out on a date and don't pick up on these things, but as she describes, you peruse her social media because, you know, she's hot and you want to know more about her, and you happen to see things like this, no, you do not continue on with her like she's trying to convince you to do. You get out of there. Save yourself a whole lot of headaches, a whole lot of drama, because my God, you're going to have it. Let me tell you. So, anyhow, guys, I thought that was a funny thing to do. Thanks, Andrew, for sending that to me. Give me a good laugh when I read it. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Please, guys, do comment below. I really want to hear your opinions, especially with this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.